Welcome to Indivisible Plymouth's podcast, The Participation Project, where curiosity and honest conversations help you stay informed, get involved, and participate in the decisions that affect our communities. I'm Priscilla Anderson, your host for today, and today our guest is Petra Sheeley, and Petra is going to be hanging out with us to talk about all things science today. Petra is a former high school science teacher and a current dog trainer. And you studied under what's her name? Susan Garrett?
I didn't study under her. I've done some of her classes. I worked with Heather Beck, though, who is another big name in the balance training world.
Oh, okay, cool. And by the way, welcome and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. I'm excited to have you.
Me too.
Petra and I are old friends, full disclosure. So how long has it been since you've been in the public schools as a teacher?
A little over 10 years.
Okay. But I know that you have a passion for educating people. And so in the career that you have now, you are still teaching. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And you were always very good at it. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Finding ways to, especially with kids, helping them to learn things and want to learn, because half the battle is getting them to want to learn. So I wanted to talk about the overarching umbrella of why science is important in this climate in our country today. And the first thing that comes to mind, just to start us off, and I'm not necessarily going to use specific details, but this is very relevant. So I'm hearing people talk about Dr. Fauci and how he handled the whole COVID thing and how he's, having to give testimony and it took the Fifth Amendment and et cetera. Now they're looking at his text messages from his government issued phone. And it seems like everybody is all up in arms and feeling like he should go to jail because he had messages on his phone indicating that he was asking about whether or not the vaccine would harm pregnant women, whether or not there's a higher risk to women who were pregnant and took the vaccine. So I would like to ask you, why is that not such a horrible thing that he was asking about concerns and asking, should we look into this more?
I think that people who don't understand how science works, especially when we're putting out a new vaccine or a new medicine or anything, I don't think they understand how it works. And they assume that we just put out things that are already tested on every single aspect of human anatomy, every single aspect of every person in every stage of life.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. It's impossible to do that. And especially where the vaccine needed to come out so quickly because people were dying, that not every aspect could be studied. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very valid that he was researching that and asking questions and looking into that because he had as much information as he could have to effectively put out a vaccine that was saving lives or would save lives,
right?
But did not have any of the information on that specific population in our population.
And so,
pregnant women specifically.
Yeah. And so in the scientific process, that's exactly what you're supposed to do as a scientist. Mm-hmm. You absolutely are supposed to try to think of every single possibility or every single possible thing that could possibly go wrong with something that you're testing or with a hypothesis that you're testing. And so for him to say, what about pregnant women? Could this cause miscarriages or how could this affect an unborn child? That's not a bad thing that he did. That's not suppressing information. That's exactly what he was supposed to do as a scientist, is say, okay, hey, in utero fetuses can really have things can go very badly wrong when if a pregnant mom spikes a fever, especially a high fever. So for him to ask about that and to put in his text messages, well, we have to look more into this. We have to take a look at this. Is this going to happen? Is this going to be a population that we shouldn't do this with. What is it? What is the data telling us? That's exactly what he should have been doing. It was his job to do.
Correct. And I think people were so up in arms because, it was one thing one day and then something else the next day and something else the next day. But that's how science works. As we go along and we now have these vaccines and we're now administering these vaccines, there may be populations that are fragile or, can't handle the vaccine for one reason or another, but we don't know that until we actually really roll it out.
Yeah.
So him changing his mind and altering his information was because he was getting new information in and processing that information and handing out, what needed to be handed out and changing what needed to be changed.
Yep. Every single day it was information was changing, and it wasn't like the vaccine wasn't rushed along. We had mRNA vaccine technology for many years, but because it was a novel virus, it was a new thing. The scientists had to kind of keep up with the data that was coming in on a daily basis.
Right.
So could you explain the scientific process, like how that works, like how you would explain that to, biology 1 high school student? I mean, sum it up, sum up a whole year.
Like a scientific method?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Scientific method.
Yeah. So it's basic. It's a basic way to critically think and test a hypothesis, essentially what the scientific method is, right? So you have to figure out what's the problem, what are we trying to solve? What problem are we trying to solve?
Can you give me an example of like what a hypothesis could be?
So, and not even a hypothesis, just the problem.
A problem, right?
So we have to figure out what the problem is first. So, I mean, gosh, everyday thing we did with the kids.
Yeah.
Everyday things you do with the kids. Do plants need light their entire life cycle to grow?
Okay.
That's the problem. That's the question. Right? So then you do as much research as you can on that. We know about photosynthesis, and we know that plants need sunlight in order to make food and all this stuff. So we put all of our information down. And then we also think, okay, well, how do plants start? Plants start as seeds. Where do we plant seeds? In the ground, right? Is there any light in the ground? No. So then our hypothesis comes, we answer our question. Do plants need light their entire life cycle to grow? So our hypothesis is going to be no, because seeds grow in the ground. There's no light in the ground.
Okay.
So therefore.
So you could say from that, you could say, well, they didn't get light in the dark.
So then we have to make an experiment, or we have to test our hypothesis. So to test our hypothesis, we need 2 groups. We need what we're studying, and we need a control group, right? So we're saying that no, plants don't need light. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a seed, we're going to wrap it in something, put it in a dark closet, and then we're also going to take a seed in the exact same container, the exact same everything, wrapped in something wet, because we obviously know that they need water, right? So keep it moist. So we have one in the dark, one in the light.
Why does it need to be in the same thing, in the same kind of wrapping?
Because if it's not, we don't know if it was the wrapping that changed how the seed germinated, or if it was just the light and the dark that changed how the seed germinated. Gotcha. And then we let our seeds grow, same seed, same everything, for the same amount of time, and then we check them. And we realize that the seed that was in the dark actually germinates better and faster because it is in the dark. Doesn't take any, because it's got seeds basically are self-contained food for the plant that's growing. That's what a seed is.
Okay.
So then we go through our experiment, we measure how much it grew, how tall it is, how many days, all that stuff, put it in a chart, and then we draw our conclusion. That's essentially what the scientific method is.
Okay. And the conclusion.
And then we either yes, we answered our question, no, seeds don't need to, yes, we proved our hypothesis correct, because the seed in the dark germinated better. So they don't need light their entire life cycle.
Okay.
Or we're incorrect and we say, no, we were wrong. And then we have to go back and say we were wrong because this is what our evidence showed. So we were incorrect in our hypothesis. Then we have to have not answered our questions. We have to go back and figure out something else.
Okay. Did you ever do an example of? Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Did you ever do experiments with the students where you knew the hypothesis was going to be disproven?
Oh yeah, I let my kids hypothesize whatever they wanted to hypothesize.
Okay.
As long as it's based on what their information said. So either they didn't research their information as much as they should have, or because most people, if you say the plants need light to grow, they'd say, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
But the answer is seeds don't.
Yeah.
Right. So because we added their entire life cycle,
yeah,
then, we would have to say no. And I would let the kids absolutely be wrong. That's how you learn.
100%. Totally
right?
is.
You can't be right all the time.
In my house, I used to say, failure is an option, and you only get to learn if you fail. So I'd be like, yes, I failed. Now I know. Now I can learn.
Now we can learn.
Now we can learn. So then the next question or next hypothesis would have been from that one, whatever other thing you'd want to know.
Mm-hmm. You just, like I said, if you're wrong, then you figure out, you go back to do some more research. And by research, I mean, you go back to, let's not say research. You go back to looking other stuff up, because just looking, my biggest pet peeve is people like, oh, I researched this. Well, where did you research this? ChatGPT? What did you go out and did you do a whole study? And did you read scientific data? And did you read peer review evaluations? No, you didn't do research. You read something on Google. That is not research.
Well,
right? Research is designing the tests or reading peer reviewed studies on the subject that you're looking for. And peer reviewed because any Joe Schmo can go out and be like, hey, I did this experiment.
Yeah.
Whatever the experiment is, and here's my information. Okay, I tested autism vaccine. I tested 12 kids.
Yep.
And said that there is a correlation between the MMR vaccine and autism because I tested 12 kids. And oh, by the way, as the doctor, I was paid by the lawyers who are looking to sue the vaccine company.
That doesn't happen. They would never do that.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened with the very first autism is caused by vaccines. The guy he was a physician. I believe it was in England. He studied 12 kids. He was paid by the lawyers who were putting a lawsuit against the vaccine company. Came out that MMR vaccine caused autism. So now everybody jumped on that bandwagon.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like right away, people jumped on that bandwagon. And
how long ago was that?
He was flat out wrong. It was, I actually have notes. I will tell you.
Spoken like a true teacher.
It was in 1998.
1998.
His name was Dr. Andrew. Yeah, Dr. Andrew Wakefield.
Is that
falsified data? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, is that the same guy that like started the whole claim that autism? I mean,
yeah.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah, autism was caused by vaccine. Yeah, he falsified data. The records were altered to create like a false timeline between when the vaccine was given and when symptoms appeared of autism.
Yeah.
He was paid by the lawyers because they were preparing a lawsuit against the vaccine manufacturers. They had to they had to fully retract, and he lost his license to practice medicine.
Yes. Okay. That is the same guy that I'm thinking of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
that's just Joe Schmo saying, look what I did. Not peer reviewed.
What does peer reviewed mean?
It means that it's reviewed by other people in the same profession. So when a physician puts out a study, other physicians have reviewed it. They have duplicated the results. They have copied the exact experiment, duplicated results. They say, yes, we absolutely find this to be true as well. Plus his sample size was 12 kids.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's more anecdotal.
Yes.
Yeah. Very anecdotal. And isn't that one of the criteria for a scientific study is that it has to, or experiment, it has to be duplicatable? Yeah.
Yep, it does. Yeah, replicatable. Yep.
Replicatable. Yeah.
Yep.
And you have to it must take a really long time to prove a hypothesis because you have to have the large scale studies repeated.
Yes. and then large scale studies. So there was a few other organizations that then studied, vaccines and autism and see if there's any correlation. Like, so the Journal of American Medical Association had a study, and they studied 10,000 kids. There's a Danish study that studied the JAMA studied 100,000 people. The Danish studied almost 650,000 people.
Wow.
And they never found a correlation.
Not even a correlation.
Nope.
Let alone a cause.
Nope.
What?
Not even a correlation. And I think part of it, what I was reading, is that by the time kids finish their vaccine regimen that most kids have when they're young, that's about the same time that their social and emotional development catches up, and you see autistic tendencies starting. The correlation is literally developmental time and how long the vaccines take.
That makes sense. Yeah. So either autistic symptoms or signs present, or also a child that parents might be thinking is autistic may kind of develop new social skills and things like that, and actually not be autistic, which is probably why they don't give that
Correct.
diagnosis all willy-nilly and at such an early ages.
The United States has the highest rate of diagnosed people with autism.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that kids or adults or any age?
Any age.
Wonder why that is. Very interesting.
I don't know.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I was reading my vaccine stuff. I read that somewhere.
Yeah. So you said mRNA vaccines, which are newer. It's a newer technology of vaccines. In fact, we are apparently a new flu vaccine is about to be launched, which is an mRNA vaccine, which is supposed to be even more effective than the regular vaccine. So 2 questions. I wanted you to explain mRNA, what that means, and versus the regular. But also, I wanted to ask you why, when I talk to people about just simple the flu vaccine, that what people say to me, well, I don't get the flu vaccine because every time I get it, I get the flu.
I get the flu.
So
you don't.
What does that mean scientifically?
So there's different types of vaccines. Let's go to a regular vaccine. Usually a regular vaccine, what happens is you have to have, the virus has to be out there, first and foremost. So the flu vaccine that we get in the fall is the flu that started the year before in the winter, right? It's the new flu strain from the year before in the winter. You can't make a vaccine from a virus that you haven't seen before.
Oh,
because
yeah, okay.
Your body has to have seen your body has to see a virus in order to be able to fight a virus. And the way we fight a virus is it comes into our body, viruses take over your cells and make them little virus factories. There's proteins on the outside of a virus that your body recognizes that don't belong to you and can make antibodies that actually change the virus or render the virus useless, right? It basically does something that it renders the virus useless, so the virus can't enter your cells to make more virus.
Okay.
And then your immune system, you fight it, you make all these antibodies, virus goes away, you don't have the virus.
You don't get sick.
Right, you don't get sick anymore. And your body then remembers this virus. And so the next time you get exposed to this virus, you don't get sick because your body already has all these antibodies ready and knows how to make these antibodies, so it makes it faster so you don't get sick.
Wow. So you'll theoretically never ever get that same flu virus ever again.
Theoretically, correct. Yep. Same with the common cold.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many strains of the common cold. So that's why viruses mutate, because if a virus can't infect cells, the virus then does not survive.
Just kind of dies out.
Yep, it does. So what happens is most vaccines are attenuated, which means they take the virus, they render it useless so it can't infect your cells, and then they inject that into a person, right? So you can get a response, an immunological response. So you can feel a little bit crappy, a little bit fevery, because your body is working to fight the quote unquote virus that they inject into you, but the virus actually cannot make you sick because it has been attenuated.
Okay.
So that's how most viruses work. So then we get
most
the vaccine.
vaccines. Yeah.
Well, I mean, sorry, that's how most vaccines work.
Yep.
So when we get the vaccine, our body has these antibodies to fight it. So when you see the actual real live virus, you have your little army ready to go and you don't get sick.
Mm-hmm.
But some people can get fevery and they can get headachy and flu-like symptoms because their body's working.
Probably some people get them more severely than others.
Yeah,
sure.
There can be. And especially if you have, if your immune system is weakened or anything like that, it fights harder, even though you're not getting sick because you don't have virus that can infect you. You still have a virus, or you still have something in your body that causes an immune response.
An immune response.
So,
okay.
That's why people don't feel well.
Yeah. The immune response is what's making them not feel well.
Correct.
So then they could still get some other strain of flu.
100%. Any other strain that's happened in the past, they could get.
How many strains
Plus any
are
other
there?
Cold.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Thousands.
There's so many.
Okay.
Thousands. There's so many strains of flu. It's ridiculous.
So when people say I always get the flu, when I get the flu,
I get the flu every year. You get a different flu every year.
Yeah. So you didn't get that strain of flu, the one that you got vaccinated for. You didn't get that.
And it's funny how people can't see that, yet they know I've had chickenpox. I will not get chickenpox again.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Most people know
they know that
I've
works.
had chickenpox. I won't get chickenpox again.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
The flu
is the same thing. It's just that the flu mutates so much faster, where chickenpox hasn't really mutated. I mean, it's mutated some, but it hasn't mutated that significantly.
Yeah.
In so long.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. My brain is like firing with so much to talk about. Okay. So then how does that differ from what an mRNA vaccine is?
Okay. So a regular vaccine is our own body producing our own
antibodies,
antibodies from our own DNA, our own immune system, our own that kind of thing. When an mRNA vaccine is the vaccine itself injects messenger RNA into your cells so that we can make a temporary set of instructions to make a harmless piece of that pathogen. So we're actually producing a harmless piece of that own virus ourselves, because some of the messenger RNA has been injected and taken up into our cells. So we're actually taking in DNA from the virus itself into our cells.
Okay, so first of all, what when you say a piece of the vaccine contains a piece of mRNA, what is mRNA?
So in order to make anything, for our cells to make anything, they need instructions. And the instructions are, the messenger RNA is the instructions to make protein, which is how cells talk to each other and how your body communicates from cell to cell and everything like that. So what we do is the messenger RNA is that instruction manual, essentially, is what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's a piece of mRNA that they get from a piece of the virus?
Correct.
Okay. You're doing a very good job dumbing this down for me, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's not that easy to do.
Funny. So when we get when that messenger RNA comes into our cell will then make the protein or a version of the protein that's on the outside of the virus that helps our body recognize that virus is a foreign invader. And then that protein will then come out of our cells, and our own immune system will say, that's not a protein that belongs to us. That's not a cell that belongs to us. And then we'll make the antibodies from that. So then when we do get the virus, or if the virus is introduced into our body somehow, we already have our little army ready to go.
Okay. Again. So they're not the mRNA vaccine is injecting a tiny component of a virus. In and of itself, Correct. It could never get you sick.
Correct. Well, I mean, yes and no. Again, you're going to have an immune response, but you're not going to get sick.
Whatever that
from that. No.
So
then the mRNA when it's go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just so then that little piece of a virus.
Yep.
Is the instructions that
on how to make the protein coat of the virus.
Okay.
Basically.
And that little piece of our mRNA goes into your cells, immune cells.
Yep. It goes into our cells. It gets read like any other messenger RNA in our cells. Ribosomes clamp onto it. They make the proteins. The protein leaves our cell. Our body says, hey, that's not us.
Yeah.
Let's fight that thing.
Attack.
And we make our little army to fight that thing.
Yeah.
And then, like any other messenger RNA, once we're done decoding it, it is broken down by the cell. So it doesn't last in our cells for very long. Even our own messenger RNA doesn't last in our cells, because if we always have every instruction our cell ever gives still floating around in our cells, we're making proteins left and right that we don't need to be making, right?
Yeah.
Our body says, hey, we need this. Our DNA opens up. We make our messenger RNA. Our messenger RNA is our instruction, goes to our ribosomes, makes the proteins that we need. Body shuts that off. Like when we make insulin, right?
Yeah.
We go to our pancreas, says, hey, we need insulin. We make insulin. If we made insulin all the time, we'd all be in insulin shock. Our blood pressure would all be dropped to the ground. Right?
Yeah.
So once we're done making those, what we need to make, our body just naturally, our cells just naturally break down that messenger RNA. So we don't need it anymore.
And then it just gets excreted with whatever waste our body.
Well, some of it is with waste, and some of it is broken down and gets ready to the adenine, like your components that make RNA. We still need those because we need to make other RNA.
Oh, okay.
Eventually. So those just kind of get broken back down.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, you're using these words that I'm starting to sound familiar. Adenine. What are the other ones? Guanine, cytosine?
Yeah, thymine and uracil. Messenger RNA is uracil.
Uracil. Wow. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I remember that. I remember that from...
Or I don't.
Or I don't. Well, that explains why I didn't get an A in Biology 101. Okay, so hopefully that helps a lot, clearing up the... So messenger RNA, that technology we had way before the COVID, the COVID virus showed up. Also, people are mad at poor Fauci too, because people say that he knew where the virus originated from and he hid it because he has some kind of, you probably can't even speak to this. I don't know. But I mean, it's part of it, but yeah. But from the reading I did, and I won't say research, I will say the reading from reputable sources tell me that we still don't exactly know where that virus came from.
No,
we still don't know. Yes, there's the lab theory in China. There's, but we also do know. I think we know that it's. Is it zoonotic? We know it jumps species from animal species.
Zoonotic.
Zoonotic. I'm close. I'm so close.
You were close.
I'm so close. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's here.
Yeah.
So the COVID vaccine.
And it's. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the COVID vaccine mutates as well. So that's why every year we're hearing about new strains of COVID.
Correct.
As well.
The COVID pathogen mutates, yes.
Yeah, the pathogen. What were you going to say? Okay, so that really helps a lot. And another challenge, I think, that people may not 100% trust science is it's hard. I had one person say to me, they were really upset that taxpayer money was going to fund some experiments that they didn't feel were important So like they said there was some study going on down the Cape or something, and they were studying shrimp. A certain kind of shrimp was being studied. And so, sure, someone may feel that there might be more important things we could do with our taxpayer money, but why is it important that, I'm not saying everything, I don't know the qualifications or the credentials of, or what studies we're even talking about, but in general, why is it important to study things that you would never think would be valid or appropriate or necessary to study? And I'm thinking about the clownfish, for example, in Boston Children's Hospital, but whatever example you can think of, like, why does that matter?
I think what we're really studying is environmental and climate change, right? So a lot of these species that we study are sort of indicator species, meaning that they're vulnerable to climate change. And we study them to see how the climate's changing and how they are affected by climate change.
So whether they're able to adapt or just die out.
Adapt. Exactly. And what's changing climate-wise and what's changing in the ocean and, salinity, temperature, all of those things make, it's how these animals survive is they find their niche and they stay in that niche essentially. But if that niche changes because it gets warmer or it gets saltier or it gets colder or it gets any of those things, then sometimes these animals can't adapt to survive.
So like the coral, really studying, for an example, the coral and the coral reef. And I mean, even when we were growing up, that was a concern. The coral reef is dying. And
that's a huge ecosystem.
Why does that matter?
Because if the ecosystem itself is dying, then anything that lives in that ecosystem isn't going to survive either.
Okay, no offense to the whales or the coral, but how does that affect me today?
The thing is, it doesn't really affect us today, but it affects the future, essentially. So when people say that, why do I care about environmentalism? Why do I care about the climate? Why do I need to save the planet? The answer is you don't need to save the planet, because guess what? After we're gone, the Earth is going to be here. The Earth was here millions of years before us. The Earth is going to be here billions of years before us. The Earth is going to be here millions and billions of years after us. The Earth has survived 6 mass extinctions. You're not saving the Earth. You're saving future humans.
Okay.
Or future wildlife or future anything. But really, we're all connected. So you're not caring about the environment is you essentially saying humans are going to die out and that's fine.
So I think there is a consensus of people that say, sorry, but that's going to happen 3 or 4 generations from now and I don't care because that's too bad, but everyone else is screwing it up too. So what am I going to do?
So I mean, you can only care about you, really, because you can only care about your impact and how you can impact anything, because you really can't change, unfortunately, the behavior of other people, right? I think environmentalism isn't about being perfect. It's about being conscientious and making consistent choices and changes that will help the environment. Because there's a great quote that is attributed to many of the indigenous people, and hold on, it says that we don't inherit the planet from the people that came before us. We borrow it from the people that come after us.
Oh, like that.
Yeah,
that's
there's many indigenous tribes that have said that, and I really like that quote. So yeah, I mean, we can only make choices that make us feel good about borrowing the planet from the people that come after us.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and some people don't give a shit, and I guess that's
some people really
them
don't.
In their conscience. But I'm thinking of one way that it could affect us, like climate change, is, for example, we're seeing more tick-borne diseases, more ticks. This is something I think that people might notice today. That, like if I go out in the woods or in a field in the summer, I mean, my daughter just picked like 15 ticks off her dog after going for a hike. So why are there more ticks? The ticks are staying active longer during the year.
because it's warmer and it's wetter. I will tell you though, I live in a high desert. We don't have ticks.
That's why you moved there. I would love to.
No, we don't.
I would love to.
Yeah,
I'm sure
you have no ticks.
You have scorpions.
No fleas,
and other
no ticks,
things.
no mosquitoes.
Oh my God. I would. So
right.
That's such a good example. So, because I hate mosquitoes. I would love a world with no mosquitoes. Why do mosquitoes matter? Yeah, they feed the birds. Well, there's plenty of other things birds can eat. They don't need mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So again, I can see people saying, well, that's a good thing. If we're not going to have as many more mosquitoes, we don't like ticks.
I
though.
know.
But even the diseases and the illnesses, diseases that affect people that are insect born or use insects as vectors, we're seeing more of those diseases. Asthma rates, because it's warmer, there's more air pollution. We're seeing
more pollen. Yep.
Oh, more pollen. I didn't even think of that one. So allergies. We're seeing way more kids with food allergies than ever before. And I don't know if you know what that directly correlates to, but
I don't know about the food allergy thing. I think that excuse me, I have hiccups. I don't know why we see more kids with food allergies. You know what? Actually, I have a thought, and you can tell me if you think I'm crazy, because kids don't play outside anymore, right? We're not playing outside. We're not getting dirty. Our immune system is not as strong and healthy as it used to be. So we now introduce a food that could potentially be an allergen, and our immune system's like, oh my God, there's someone foreign because I'm not used to the dirt and the slugs and the worms and everything that the kids have always had because they play outside in the dirt.
And those germs that are in the dirt. Well,
and those germs, everything.
I would say that it's probably more likely that the parents didn't play in the dirt as much, because a food allergy can show up very, very young. And so there's little kids even a lot of little kids nowadays, even though there's more screen time, there's a lot of people that still have their kids play a lot outside, which is great. But their parents and their parents before them objectively have spent less and less time outside playing in the dirt.
Yeah, my kid was always dirty.
Yeah, we got a huge pile, like a dump truck full of dirt. We were going to use it for the landscaping when my kids were little. That thing sat there for like 2 years, and it was the best money ever spent. They used to climb on top of that dirt pile, and oh my God, they had so much fun with that.
Abby would pick up worms and put them in her pocket, and then pick up mud so they'd have a place to live.
Oh, that's so sweet of her. She gave them the dirt.
Right? She gave him a home in her pocket.
Yeah, she had a little terrarium in there.
Yep, she did.
So this is making me think about some of these organisms, viruses and bacteria, and they can evolve. They can change. Like we talked about the viruses mutating. And that has to do with evolution. So I'm wondering if you could kind of explain what evolution is, because it doesn't just mean like you're an ape one day and then the next
human the next.
You're a human. Yeah, that's not what. Yeah, evolution is.
Sure. So
evolution, and how did it start? How do we even think of this theory? Oh, and then you can comment on how people say, well, evolution is only a theory.
Well, I did my research on that too. Oh, I did my reading on that too.
You're reading. Good job. Yeah, because what does it mean to be a scientific theory? That's different.
Okay, it is. So science, most of science, so biology, there's a lot of theories, right? Because proof is a mathematical term, and you can't prove something without mathematics. So we can't prove essentially that evolution is occurring, because evolution is evidence-based and it's explanatory power, right? So we can say we see this and here's our evidence, but we can't say we have proof, numbers.
And going back to what you were explaining about the scientific method, you couldn't say that you proved your hypothesis until you had enough evidence and you had ruled everything else out. But you can't really rule out that's why
every other thing
gravity.
in biology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Gravity's a law, right? There's math,
Okay.
there's numbers. If we drop something, doesn't matter how much it weighs, it's always going to fall at 9.8 meters per second for every second it's falling. It's a number, right? So you're either a law, essentially, or because you can be mathematically proven, or you're really a theory, an evidence-based theory that we can say we've had enough evidence and we can say, yeah, we believe this to be true, but you're never going to have every piece of evidence you need, essentially.
So why should we just believe then that the Earth
there is a ton of evidence in favor of evolution. And evolution essentially is that animals can adapt over time. It's survival of the fittest. It is DNA based. Animals actually physically change in order to adapt to their environment. That one organism does not, but successive organisms and successive populations and successive offspring can potentially change.
So it's not just the survival of the fittest of this herd of elephants, like which one's going to survive and which one's going to die.
No, it's the survival of the whole population. So there's an example that there was, I don't know the exact moth, but there was moths back before the Industrial Revolution, and they were white, and all the birch trees were white. So the population of moths was a white moth. During the Industrial Revolution, pollution started to happen. More pollution happened, the grayer these trees got. So these white moths would now stand out on these gray trees, and they would get picked off.
Again, not that one white moth. It would be their offspring and their offspring.
Correct. Right. If they only produce white offspring, then these would get picked off. So there was a mutation that happened. So some moths were gray and some moths were white. So previously, the gray moths would get picked off because they're on the white tree. During the Industrial Revolution, as the trees got grayer and grayer and grayer, the white moths would get picked off and the gray moths would live to reproduce more gray moths because it was a mutation in their genes and their genetics that made them gray. So over time, the entire population then became gray because that's what survived. So that is evolution in a nutshell. That's very
tangible.
Yeah, it's tangible. It's very elementary, but that's essentially what evolution is in a nutshell. So some of the evidence for evolution, and there's a couple of things. Excuse me. First of all, we observe evolution now every day because we have bacteria. We have bacteria that is now antibiotic resistant. We have MRSA. Right? MRSA is a staph infection that is now antibiotic resistant because all the times that people have gotten antibiotics over the years, and one or two bacteria survived because they were resistant. And the more we used antibiotics and the more these one or two survived, and these one or two survived and reproduced, now we have a whole strain of staph that is antibiotic resistant. That is evolution we have seen happen in the last 20 years.
In our lifetimes.
In our lifetime. We've seen this actually happen.
So it's not just
observed evolution.
Holy moly. So it's not just that mRNA, that MRSA is just the strongest bacteria, a whole different bacteria that's just super strong.
Nope. It's the same staph that had a little mutation that one or two survived that antibiotic round that we had, but our body fighting millions of bacteria, our body fighting a few bacteria. We can actually fight these few bacteria, right? So we didn't get staph. We didn't get MRSA. We had staph, we killed it, we had a few MRSA left, and somehow we shed them or we spread them or whatever, and these MRSA now multiplied. So now
the strong ones that did happen to come out
that did survive.
Yeah, that did survive.
Yep. So now we have a whole strain.
So when people go to the doctor or even for their kid, and they're like, "Well, why can't we just put them on an antibiotic?" That's why.
Because your body's generally going to fight a bacterial infection.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, and I think, amoxicillin, when our kids were young, was handed out like candy if they got an ear infection.
Totally was, yeah.
Right, but 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, your kid's going to fight that. It's going to be miserable. You're going to have to give them Tylenol. They're going to have a fever, but they're going to fight that someone with a healthy immune system is going to fight that on their own. But because we handed out it like it was candy, now we have MRSA, and that's really the effect of handing out the antibiotic so much.
That's why they don't even
and
want.
That's another thing too.
Go ahead.
People are like, a fever is so bad. A fever is bad. Unless it's high, a fever is not bad. It's your body trying to cook the bacteria out of your system. We're literally we raise our temperature to see if we can fight that bacteria, see if we can cook that bacteria, essentially, is what we're doing. That's how our body is working.
Because we're
trying to get rid of it by raising the temperature. Because
a virus or a bacteria can only be alive, and viruses aren't really alive, but we're going to use that word just for fun. Yep. In a certain kind of environment, like a fungus. Correct. Too. Like, yep. So our body is trying to make a higher temperature so that
change the environment, see if we can get rid of the bacteria or the virus. Exactly.
Good job, body.
Yep. Exactly.
All right.
And then another really good evidence that I like that people can relate to. It's called comparative anatomy. So our hand, a bat's wing, a dolphin's flipper, all has the same bones in it.
What do you mean? They look totally different.
Bone structure. They do, but inside we have carpals, we have metacarpals, the same number, the same essential number of them, and the same essential orientation and phalanges. So, like, if you see bats' wings and they have their wings come down, you can see bones in those wings. Those are essentially our fingers.
What?
Right? We have this same anatomy because we have a same common ancestor that had this anatomy. Any quadruped, so four-legged, four-limbed, essentially creature that is a vertebrate has these same,
like our dogs,
structures in their hands and structures. Our dogs, their little feet, their little toes, they have little phalanges, they have little carpals, they have all those things.
And those are mammals. Is it for all mammals?
Yep. Or
all vertebrates?
All you're right. All
four-footed, limbed.
Four-limbed, because four-limbed mammals. Yes, I mean invertebrates. Vertebrates. Four-limbed mammals. Yes.
But what did you say? The dolphin?
No. Dolphin's a mammal.
But I mean, they don't have four limbs or four legs.
They do. Well, they're flippers. They have a small vestigial pelvis bone still in their anatomy. Yes.
Oh, so we
don't have tails. We have a tailbone,
but we're still here, and we still have.
So we have tailbones.
That's right, and we have a tailbones, but not really a tail.
Correct.
So that's another example.
Tailbones coming off our spine. So
because we don't need tails, but maybe the creatures that came before us.
Some ancestor needed tails for some reason.
We're pretty good for cats for balance.
Yeah, dogs do.
Yeah.
And monkeys, obviously, they use their tails for balance and for gripping and all those things.
Yeah. So that kind of proves that things evolve. But how do we, like some people claim that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. And I totally don't even want to get into the whole creationism versus evolution. We don't have time for that. But how do we know that the Earth is older than that?
There's rocks that are older than that. There's trees that are older than that. You do carbon dating. So carbon is an element that decays at a rate that we know and we understand and we can measure. So we can take carbon from fossils and from rocks and from ancient parts of the Earth, and we can actually date them by how much carbon they have left, how much carbon-14 they have left in them. That's how we know how old they are, because it decays at a certain rate, a certain consistent rate.
Wow.
So we can take something carbon-14 it has and date it from there.
So cool. So how old is the Earth?
Oh, it's, God, you have to ask me this. It's billions of years
Billions.
old.
Billions.
Yes.
And the Earth will still be here in billions of years, but it may not have the same kind of life forms of life? Because we might not have a sun.
No. Well, if the sun, when the sun is going to expand, because that's what it's doing, because it's a dying star.
Mm-hmm.
So like all stars, they have a life cycle. It's the end of its life cycle. And what happens is, because it's an end of its life cycle, its core is not as strong. So gravity is not as strong keeping it together. So it eventually is going to expand and basically probably take up our whole solar system.
Huh.
But that's like millions and billions of years away.
Oh, good. We still have that long.
Yeah, we do. Well, someone does.
Yes,
it's not going to be us, but someone does.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Petra, for clearing up that stuff and, reteaching it. Because sometimes I think, we know that stuff. It's in the back of our brains, but, we're just getting reminded and saying, oh, yeah, remember that. It's really important for people to understand, I think, in this climate, what we mean by science and what is happening and what is science doing for us and why we have to do actual research versus just reading. I love that you explain that. So, adding to the how old is the Earth question, tell me more about that.
So the Earth is roughly 4.5 billion with a B years old.
Yeah, you said billion. Yeah, billion.
Yeah, I said billions and billions, and then I said
billions and billions and billions and billions. That's it.
Right, and bit. Okay,
and bit. VI.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I have funny chat GPT story. People are like, I chat, and chat always gives me this information. My brother-in-law was walking through the woods and he found a mushroom and took a picture of the mushroom and he showed it to Chat and he said, Chat, is this mushroom poisonous? And Chat said, no.
Okay.
He looked it up. It was poisonous. So he gave all the information to Chat GPT. He said, it's poisonous, blah, blah, blah. And Chat said, oh, you're right. So he said, so if I ask you again, are you going to tell me anything differently? And Chat said, no.
Oh my God. No, you want.
No, I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with you can eat that.
That sounds like my mom. God bless her. May she rest in peace. She didn't like to be wrong. None of us do, but that's hysterical and terrifying at the same time.
It is terrifying because people ask Chat everything.
Yeah, I do. I was just telling Chris that I'll ask stuff, and if it comes back and I'll ask it usually things that I know the answer to, but I just can't think of it off the top of my head. So I'll recognize, oh yeah, that's thanks for reminding me. But if I need more, I'll go to Cleveland Clinic or something else. That's for my health questions.
Yep.
So thank you so much again, Petra, for being on.
It's good to talk to you too.
Oh, so good to talk to you. I'm thrilled. I'd like to say, would you come back again? Because there's always more to learn.
I would absolutely come back again.
Awesome. I have a feeling we're going to be needing this information for at least 2.5 years to come.
At least. No, hopefully only.
Yep. Okay, I want to give a thank you to the podcast team of Indivisible Plymouth: Heidi Mayo, Phoebe Flynn, Joanne Oscar, Shelley Rowell, Lynn Lufkin, Joe Brennan, Sandy Comier. Thank you so much, guys, for helping me put this together. And a shout out to the local scene for producing. They do all the editing and set me up with the technology. They're amazing. And you can find out more about how they could help you or your organization by going to thelocalscene.media. That's the local scene, SEEN.media. And just a little bit about Indivisible Plymouth. You can find out more information about us on indivisibleplymouth.org. And our mission is taking positive, effective action in support of democracy and human rights, motivated by love, not hate, to push the moral arc of history. And again, it's indivisibleplymouth.org. And until next time, thanks again, Petra. Thank you to our listeners who are hopefully in the billions. in
billions
number,
and billions and billions
and billions. All right. Thanks a lot.